Happy dance, 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 happy, 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 happy dance. I'm doing the happy dance right now. I'm doing the happy, 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 happy dance. Silicon Dojo is gonna have what we call in the business sphere space. We're gonna have some space, boys and girls. Well, hopefully. Crap can always fall through. Until the contract is signed, things can always fall through. And frankly, even after the contract is signed, things can fall through. And even after you've moved in, things can still go to hell. But anyways, let's not focus on any of that. Let's focus on being happy right now. So I'm trying to keep a lot of topical stuff out of these videos anymore, just because it doesn't create very good evergreen content. But right now, I'm just doing the happy dance because it looks like we have found a new space for Silicon Dojo. So Silicon Dojo right now is about 300 square feet, which is nice for me to come in and do these videos. For me to do seminars with like 3 people in the audience, 300 square feet is not too bad. But you get 9 people in here, or 10 or whatever it was, and it gets to be over 80 degrees. And it gets to be a sweat box, and everybody's kind of crammed in here, and it kind of sucks. I realized that. I did the how to be a YouTuber, and we had like 9 attendees, plus me in here, and it kind of sucked. So I've been looking for a new space, and I think I found a new space. Well, I found a place that I liked, and then they got back to me today, and they gave me a price that I really liked. So hopefully, going into August, Silicon Dojo is going to have our I don't want to say forever home. It's probably not the forever home. Hopefully we become so successful, it's definitely not the forever home. But at least the for a while home. It's nice. It's probably, I would guess it's about 1,000 square feet. Maybe it's smaller than that. Again, for the price that I'm getting, it's probably smaller than that. But it's a nice big rectangle. It's got ceiling fans. It has a window, a big window. It doesn't have these windows, but it does have a big window. It's in with other like kind of tech businesses and that whole kind of thing. So I'm very, very excited about that. So doing the happy dance right now, because that'll be nice, because that's what I've kind of run into with this particular business with Silicon Dojo, is I want to do more, but I've got a 300 square foot sweat box. You know, I say, like, again, don't lie to yourself. You can lie to everybody else in the world. Just don't lie to yourself. And again, I like this little room for many reasons. It actually makes a very good place for doing videos. It makes a nice place to leave the house. Again, for doing meetups with 3 people. It's quite terrific. But if I actually want, like, more than 3 people in the room, you know, this thing gets small pretty quick. So I'm very, very, very excited about that. So yeah, and again, it came in at a decent price point. Actually, a very, very reasonable price point. So wish me luck. Hopefully later today, I will go and I will take a look and I will verify it's what I think it is. Again, always make sure you go and verify before you sign the dotted line. And then in a little over 2 months, we'll have a nice big space where I will really be able to stretch out and do what I really want to do with Silicon Dojo. Also, I'm not sure if I should say thank you. I'm not being snarky here, but this becomes a little concerning. So I've gotten pickles in the mail. People have sent me pickles. You're supposed to send Lewis pickles, to be clear. You're supposed to send Lewis pickles. I got a Rolodex in the mail. And today, I walked up to my office and somebody gave me a 4.5 cubic refrigerator that came in the mail. So that has come. So I make the joke that if you come here for the meetup, you get warm water, warm Coke, and warm Sprite. So now you'll be able to get cold water, cold Coke, and cold Sprite. So that came. I'm kind of thinking maybe I should create a wish list on Amazon. Again, this is one of those things with business. What a lot of people don't understand with business is you have no idea what the hell's going to happen till you actually do it. Like, believe me, I never expected a refrigerator to show up on my doorstep. So I'm starting to think with this business, maybe I should create an actual wish list on Amazon. And if you want to buy me something, you can buy me something off of the wish list. But anyways, I am sure my the people that come to Silicon Dojo will be thankful to be able to have some cold liquids. Again, I am a little cautious here with actually saying thank you because I'm concerned what the next thing I would get is. Again, when you start getting refrigerators on your doorstep, that's when you're like, whoa, whoa, this is getting weird now. This is getting weird. So if you sent the refrigerator, I got the refrigerator. And I'm sure my members will be thankful for the cold soda. And yeah, I'm going to create a wish list on Amazon so that I make sure I kind of sort of know what the hell I'm getting. So anyways, that was on the doorstep too. The weird world of how business actually works. Anyways, not going to try to do the topical stuff here again on these particular videos. Let's just dive into why Windows 11 will suck. And of course, just so you know, I use that particular title because, you know, clickbait. You gotta understand the business environment you're working in. And I do realize, in the YouTube world, you gotta put some clickbait up there. So we are gonna talk about why Windows 11 is going to suck today. But also do realize I'm dealing with a whole conversation culture. So we're not gonna get too snarky and vicious here, because I don't want to screw up my lease. I really want my lease. Again, that's the whole thing with conversation culture. Like, people really don't seem to grasp, like, social media and all that. And so I was able to find this place because of somebody I met who pointed me at these people, and then these people did some research on me and decided that they wanted me. Literally this morning, I got an email from a startup founder in the area that was talking with one of my viewers apparently last night, and they're reaching out for help. And so that's the whole thing. Like, again, there's this whole cancel culture and consequence culture. Look, I'm an adult. I'm on my mid-40s. I got a house. I got a wife. I've got a dog. I've got more important crap to do in my life than social media, other than YouTube. And what I'll say is it's conversation culture. When you put out on the web for anybody to find, you know, curious commentary, it should not be a shock if they decide, well, maybe we don't want to deal with this person. So anyways, talking about Windows 11 today sucking, it's not gonna be that harsh. So I got this question, basically, you know, how do I feel about Windows 11 coming out? So I think it's June 24th, so I'm filming this on June 11th, video recording this on June 11th. This will come out probably on June 14th when you guys actually see it. And, you know, Windows 11 is going to come out on like June 24th. So more or less 2 weeks, right around 2 weeks from when I'm filming this. And, you know, the question is how do I feel about Windows 11 coming out? Am I excited about Windows 11? And the answer is no. The answer is no. I feel like getting excited about Windows 11, how can I say this without being too horribly snarky? Getting excited about Windows 11 is almost like getting excited about the new iMacs with the M1 processor. It's like, yep, it's a computer, and it's gonna do computer stuff. And I feel like that's one of the issues that we have right now in the technology world, especially like the technology news, the technology commentary world, is that so many folks are still talking about the things that were incredibly important 10 or 15 years ago. Don't get me wrong, right? The revolution from Windows 98 to Windows XP was massive. What was supposed to happen between Windows XP and Vista was supposed to be massive until Microsoft screwed it up. Because of that screw up, the difference between Windows 7 or Windows Vista and Windows 7 was massive and amazing. And then Ballmer came out and decided he was going to be Steve Jobs, and so then they came out with Windows 8, which was a bit of another disaster, right? All of these things were big, major changes, and I think there was a lot of hubbub to be said about these changes at the time. But realistically, in the modern world, you know, an operating system is kind of just an operating system. I don't feel like Windows 11 is going to be significantly better in most ways than Windows 10, nor to be clear, do I actually think it's going to be significantly worse than Windows 10. So we go back to the history. So again, I've been doing technology since 1996. I've been doing IT since right around 2000. So I actually used to have to support Windows 95 in a production environment, which was hell. job security. To be clear, it was job security, but it was also hell, right? So I've actually worked with all these operating systems over the years. And here's the thing, like if you look at it, you had Windows 95. And so Windows 95 came out, and the big thing about Windows 95 is that it was a decent graphical user interface for the time period. Most of us, I think it was Windows 3.11 before that. So there was DOS, and then there was Windows, went up to like Windows 3.11, what most of us used, which was basically you actually had to turn on the Windows shell, and then you got there and you got this GUI interface. So you got GUI, sort of. It was tedious. But Windows 95 is what actually brought us into the modern world. If you think about the modern internet, if you think about people using computers in a modern way, like Bill Gates or hate Bill Gates, the reality is Windows 95 brought us really into this modern era of computers. Keyboards, mice, internet, when it came down the pike, most people started using it not that long after. That entire user experience really started with the Windows 95. So Windows 95 was a leap ahead from Windows 3.11. Then you go to Windows 98. Windows 98 supported plug and play, which was a big thing back then. So I think it was like Windows 95B. There was actually multiple versions of Windows 95. They actually say Windows 98 was literally just like the fourth version of Windows 95, and they just called it Windows 98 for when it came out. But it's like Windows 95A when it came out. I don't think it supported any plug and play. I think Windows 95B supported some plug and play. The big thing with Windows 98 is it really supported plug and play relatively well. So you still had the 95 environment. It was a little bit more stable, it was a little bit better, had some more functionality to it, had plug and play, which was freaking awesome at the time because we were all starting to use USB. Like USB, ooh, have you used one of these things, right? So that was pretty exciting. Then came Windows Millennium Edition. Oh. I don't know what the hell they did with that thing. They took that poor little operating system and microwaved it before they shipped it out. Oh, Windows Millennium Edition was like the bizarrest thing in the world because it seemed like what it was supposed to be. It was just supposed to be a step up from Windows 98, right? So Windows 98 was a step up for Windows 95. Millennium Edition was supposed to be a step up for Windows 98. That was buggy and glitchy and a complete piece of crap. I honestly believe Gateway essentially died as a PC manufacturer because of Millennium Edition. They were one of the few companies to dive in full speed on Millennium Edition, and then when Millennium Edition turned into a royal piece of crap, again, for a lot of users out there, they don't think about the difference between the operating system and the hardware and the manufacturer. They just go, this Gateway is a piece of crap. So although Gateway actually had really good hardware on it, they actually were pretty good systems. And they shipped out a lot of Millennium Edition PCs. And I honestly think that's what tanked them. Anyways, but then after that, right around the same time, Windows 2000 came out. So that was for the business world. So back then, Microsoft had business operating systems and consumer operating systems. So the business operating system for the Windows 98 era was Windows NT4. That's what I got my MCSE in. So then they came out with 2000, Windows 2000 for the business environment. And Windows 2000, again, was a rock stable, absolutely awesome operating system. And so about a year later, they came out with Windows XP. And that was basically supposed to be the operating system that then ties the home and the business users together. So basically before that, you could have either Windows 98 or Windows NT. And then you could have Windows Millennium Edition or Windows 2000 for the business world. Windows XP is what finally tied these operating systems together. And so that's where you would have, Windows XP Home Edition, Windows XP Professional Edition, Windows XP Media Center Edition, Windows XP, had a whole bunch of Windows XP editions. But basically, you essentially had one code base. They just gave you a little bit of different functionality for whatever you decide to purchase. So if you bought the Professional Edition, I think it was Professional, yeah, Windows XP Pro. You got Active Directory support, which you didn't get in the home version. So Windows XP was awesome for a lot of reasons. It was vastly superior to Windows 98, definitely to Millennium Edition. It gave you a lot of the consumer functionality you wanted that Windows 2000 didn't have, and so it married everything together quite nicely. That's one of the reasons a lot of people didn't want to leave Windows XP when Windows Vista came around. Even into the Windows 8 era, a lot of people were still using Windows XP because actually it was a pretty decent operating system from a usability standpoint. From a security standpoint, it was complete and utter garbage. It was garbage from a security standpoint. Literally, when Windows XP came out, if you went to a website could simply drop a registry edit into your registry simply by you going to the website. Like literally, that's all that was. In order to modify your registry, you could literally go to a website and it could modify your registry, which again made me a lot of money. You will notice as I talk about these horrible things in the technology world, I will end it with, and that's why I made a lot of money. This is what a lot of tech professionals don't want to accept about our profession. A lot of times, the reason we make money is because the vendors kind of put out crappy products, right? When Windows 95 was, breaking because you sneezed at it, well, somebody had to fix it. When Windows XP was getting registry hacks simply because people went to a website, well, somebody had to fix it, right? And so that was the thing with Windows XP. Windows XP was a great operating system for many reasons, just trash as far as security was concerned. And so that's when they came out with Vista. And so when Vista came out, the idea was it was going to be a hell of a lot more secure. It came out with UAC. It was a user account control, something like that. Basically, it was a new security procedure to try to keep people from dropping registry hacks onto your system, going on the internet. Then it was supposed to have a lot of these new fancy graphical interfaces, all of those types of things. The issue with Windows Vista, when Windows Vista came out, is that the hardware requirements for Windows Vista at the time were going to be a lot more than what was required for Windows XP. And so the hardware vendors had a little bit of a hissy fit, and Microsoft, in their wisdom, they decided that they were going to tell consumers that the consumers didn't need the hardware that the consumers were going to need, right? So, for those of us in the tech field that were actually following Windows Vista, we knew it was going to require at least 1 gig of RAM in order for the thing to run worth a damn, and we knew it was going to take about 4 gigs of RAM for it to really run pretty well, right? There's a whole bunch of these things. It's going to need better processors, the whole 9 yards. So it wasn't that Vista was going to be a bad operating system, but a lot of the computers that you would have to buy that would have Windows Vista on it would be more expensive because for the time period, they had to be about twice as good as the average machine coming down the line. Well, Compaq and Hewlett-Packard and all these companies, again, they cried about this. And so, Microsoft came out with this, it was like, because it was supposed to be like Windows Vista certified. Right, so this computer that has Windows Vista on it is Windows Vista certified, something like Vista certified. And if it was Vista certified, then it had at least the minimum requirements for Vista and everything else. Then they came out, because the hardware manufacturers were having a bit of a fit, like Microsoft came out with this thing called it was like Vista compatible. Don't quote me on these actual words, but basically the idea was it'll run Vista. It won't run it well, but it'll run it. And so the problem that you ran into is we literally had, because this is when I still had my computer repair shop, we literally had customers coming in like 2 months after they bought a brand new Vista machine asking us to do a tune-up on the Vista machine because it was running so slow. And basically we would just open it up, take a look at the basic specs, and it would be something like a Celeron processor with 512 megs of RAM. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, sir, but you bought a potato. This is what we call in the technical world a potato. If you want a computer that runs faster, you should probably go and buy an actual computer, right? And so that was one of the big problems with Vista. Vista was a complete and utter disaster, basically because Microsoft was willing to relent to what the hardware manufacturers were demanding. And so when Vista went out, so many of the machines Vista went out on were subpar, below the resource requirements of what Vista needed, and so they were just dogs. And so that was a major reason why Vista was a failure. Not only did Vista have that kind of problem, which was a major issue, but then, every time there's a major modification in the code base, you're going to get weird quirks. The security that they tried to add ran into some weird problems. There's a whole bunch of different stuff with Vista, and so Vista just became an absolute and utter just dog, right? And so we were all excited when Windows 7 came out, because Windows 7, when it came out, it was going to come out with that superior code base of Windows Vista, minus all of the bugs and glitches. And basically Windows 7, when it came on the scene, didn't really actually require that many more resources than Vista. So Vista had been out for like 3 or 4 years at that point. And so, the hardware manufacturers had started shipping computers that could actually run Vista. And so the cool part was when Windows 7 came out, it needed the same resources that Vista needed. That hardware was now finally shipping. So you got all of the benefits of Windows Vista with most of the glitches glitches had been ironed out on hardware that could actually run the darn operating system. And so that's why we loved Windows 7. That's why we were all excited about Windows 7. Then Steve Ballmer came out. Steve Ballmer. Oh, don't be snarky. Family friendly, family friendly. Anyway, Steve Ballmer, I don't know. He thought he was Steve Jobs. He thought he was Steve. You know Steve Jobs? Steve Jobs, would say, I give people what they don't know that they want. Whether or not that's actually, how that should be taken. For some reason, Steve Ballmer decided to take that tact with Windows 8 and basically decided to give Windows users the operating system he wanted Windows users to have. Not necessarily the one any of us wanted. And so you got this just dog of an operating system that was all around like touch interface, but many times the computers it was on were not touch-enabled computers, and many people actually didn't want to interact with their computer by touching on it. Again, I'm still a Mac user. I am still completely fine not touching the screen of my normal computer. But anyway, Steve Ballmer tried to shove Windows 8 down people's throats, and basically everybody had a conniption because this is literally not the operating system that they wanted. It's like, we have such market share, we're gonna force you to take this garbage. And I would actually argue this is one of the things that really pushed Apple into the forefront, because a lot of folks that didn't like Windows 8, again, I genuinely did not like Windows 8, and so it forced me, again, when Steve Ballmer said, this is what you're gonna have, and I as a consumer am like, let me go see what the other options are. That's when I went over to the Apple world and went, you know what? Apple's not too bad. And I've been with Apple ever since. So anyways, the big hubbub about Windows 8 was the whole touch interface garbage, and basically nobody wanted, and that was a bit of a disaster. Then comes Windows 10. So Windows 10, basically they try to marry the normal desktop interface with the whole touch interface, and it's not too bad. Not my favorite operating system in the world. I'm not like excited to go back to it or anything. But they got rid of the Windows 8 crap. They got a pretty good they got a pretty stable code base, and so a lot of people were excited for Windows 10. So now as they're coming down the pike and we're looking at Windows 11, what do I think is going to happen with Windows 11? Well, honestly, I feel like most computers nowadays are powerful enough for basically whatever operating system you're going to dump into the thing. Again, do remember for 20 years, every 2 years, whenever an operating system would come out, they would require a tremendous amount of new resources. So one of the big problems you had is if you put an operating system that required a lot of resources on hardware that didn't have the resources, it was a fail. So do I think that's going to happen with Windows 11? No, I think Windows 11 is going to come out, and it's probably going to work on all of the hardware that Windows 10 would work on, and probably that Windows 8 could work on, and probably Windows 7 could work on, maybe even Windows Vista could work on. I would imagine when Windows 11 comes out, that basically it can probably run on machines all the way up to about 10 years old relatively well, because again, somewhere around 10 years ago is really when PCs more or less became good enough for at least what most people need. Now again, if you're doing, gaming, or if you're doing 4K or 8K video, that's its own world. But for most of us, about 10 years ago, computers got good enough. Again, I have my Mac Pro at home, a 2013 Mac Pro at home, and if I didn't do what I do, I could still be using that machine and be completely happy with it. The only reason I bought any of the new machines is simply because, again, I'm doing like 4K video editing, that type of thing. So anyways, Windows 11 will probably be good on the hardware front. As far as any real massive, feature improvements of Windows 11, I don't really imagine that there's going to be a lot out there. I think there's going to be a lot of things like around the edges, being able to connect to Azure services better. That's one of the things Microsoft wants. Being able to connect probably to other cloud services. Again, one of the things you have to think about with all these operating systems is they're designed for their era. So with Windows 95 was built for COM port connections and peripheral, those old peripheral cable connections for your printer. And so it didn't really have good USB support, because why? But then USB came along, USB became more popular, so Windows 98 came out with with USB support, getting plug and play support. Was that oh my god? Well, actually for us it was oh my god. But it's not like, right, I mean the operating system is basically the operating system. You just get these functionality things around the edges. So I figure with Windows 11 it'll connect to cloud services better. It'll probably connect to your mobile device voice and being able to do sync and that kind of thing better. But is there going to be like some amazing, do I think it's going to be a Windows 8 moment? I hope to hell not. I hope to hell not. Is it going to be what Windows Vista was supposed to be? Like one of those moments? Like imagine if Windows Vista had come out of hardware that could actually run it. Like, you know, with the Aero interface and translucence and all that kind of stuff going back to 2008 or whatever. Do I think it's going to be that kind of revolutionary thing? No, I really don't think it is. I think when Windows 11 comes out, there's probably going to be a lot of differences in the code base, right? If you actually work for Microsoft, you probably are impressed with what you've done. I think for most users, when they actually go to use it, it's probably not going to be much of anything. And then as far as the actual user interface is concerned, that's the only way this could be a disaster. That's the only way this could be a real disaster. I think they learned their lesson from Windows 8. I believe they learned their lesson from Windows 8, but you never know. You never know. So I think, you know, the user interface will be fine. And so for most users, when I say that Windows 11 is going to suck, basically the idea, I think Windows 11 is going to come out and it's going to be like a Windows 98 moment. There's going to be a little bit better. There's going to be a few improvements. It's going to be, right, even if you use certain things, it'll probably be a little whatever. But overall, I don't think most people are really going to care that much. Again, when I compare Windows 11 to the iMac M1, I'm not doing that just to be snarky. So I've been watching the tech channels, the YouTube tech channels. Oh, it's so sad. Right now for Silicon Dojo. Silicon Dojo last night, I literally did a seminar talking about easy machine vision. So Azure has these cloud services that allow you to do machine vision, and it's awesome. It is awesome, right? So basically just your URL, you can toss an image up to Azure's, cognitive services, their visual compute services. It will tell you how many people are in an image. It will guesstimate the age of the people in the image. It's pretty accurate with determining the sex of people that are in the image. It can give you back a whole list of tags of what it sees in an image. It can auto-create descriptions of what's in the image. You can actually feed Azure video, and it's called Spatial Analysis. You can do real-time spatial analysis. So imagine you have a whole surveillance camera system set up for your environment, and basically you can have Azure services looking at your real-time video and being able to determine things that you have asked it. So imagine you have a grocery store and you have lines, right, for the checkout aisles. You can have video cameras pointed at those lines. You can send that information up to Azure, and Azure will be able to guesstimate how long it will take each person to get through the line. So the first person that's in line, they're being done now, so that's at 0. With the average amount of time it takes for someone to go through the line, that means the next person will be checked out in 3 minutes. The average person then after that will be like 4 minutes. And then, so like they can actually determine like how long lines are. And imagine from a management standpoint, if you're dealing with a grocery store or something like that, just being able to have an alert system where the computer system can say, hey, your lines are now up to a 9-minute backup. You probably should open a new register. Right? That is phenomenal. That is awesome. One of the classes I'm going to be doing probably in a couple weeks, I need to work on a little bit more, is Azure actually has audio, this whole audio cognitive thing where you, for relatively easily, you can train a computer to talk, and you can actually train a computer to take your commands from voice. It can do voice identification. So you know with Google Home or whatever, or if your wife says something or you say something, it can respond differently. Microsoft actually has this service, these Azure functions, so that you can build your own devices that will respond to people differently simply based on their voice. That's amazing. That's amazeballs. And do you know what the YouTube tech channels are doing right now? They're talking about the color that the iMac M1s come in. Oh, I was watching a Painfully Honest Tech this morning, and he was talking about the new M1. I was kind of interested because he does music. This is a YouTuber, and he does music and that type of thing, so I'm kind of interested with these new systems coming out, just to see how it works with peripherals and all that. I think he went on for about 5 minutes about how much he disliked that the color of it was blue. I'm like, oh, And I think the problem that we're running into in this modern world, when we look at things like the Apple computers coming out, we look at operating systems coming out, is a lot of people, these are things people think that they understand. These were things that were very important. It was revolutionary. To go from Windows 98 to Windows XP was frickin' revolutionary. To go from XP to Vista was a disaster. To go from Vista to 7 was revolutionary, right? We've had these monumental moments with operating systems in the past. We've had these monumental moments with these systems in the past, but we've gotten to the point where a lot of this stuff has just kind of gotten standardized. It's kind of gotten, yeah, it's a little bit better. Is Windows 11 probably going to be a little bit better? Yeah. Is it going to have a different icon pack? Sure. Is it going to have different fonts? Yeah. Is it really going to matter to anybody? Probably not. And so when you see a lot of people going rawr over things like Windows 11, I think a lot of that simply has to do with folks talking about what they understand, and talking about an desktop operating system is kind of like really low-hanging fruit. I was looking at a review, thing differences of Windows 11 this morning, and again, it was like from CNET or something. Literally, they were talking about it's going to have different icons. It's going to use a different font pack. Like, who cares? I mean, fine, whatever. Again, don't get me wrong. If I have to get certified in Windows 11, that kind of thing can be a pain in the butt. Going from network neighborhood to my network places to whatever the hell networking's called at Microsoft at this point, that is significant from a certification standpoint, because when they're asking you questions on the test, you have to remember what the hell they now call that particular icon. But from an actual user standpoint, here's the network one, click, click. Right, doesn't really matter a whole hell of a lot. So anyways, those are my thoughts with Windows 11. Will I use Windows 11? Sure. I'm sure I'll use Windows 11. Again, I'm really liking Azure. I think that's one thing in the technology world a lot of people don't think enough about, is the whole ecosystem thing. So one of the reasons I use Mac, and I have an iPhone, I have an Apple TV, I have a lot of stuff, is from a home user standpoint, all of this stuff works well together. So it's not really that I'm buying an iPhone, it's that I'm buying a phone that connects into an ecosystem that currently works very well together. One of the things that I think is interesting with Azure is amazing. Like, it's amazeballs. If you haven't played with Azure, go play with Azure. It's awesome, especially from the enterprise world. And so I think one of the interesting things is I think the real argument for something like Windows 11 is if this ties into Azure services better, and then you as an administrator, if you can start getting more out of the Azure services, Windows 11 connects to those services easier than a Chromebook would or an Apple computer would, then I think it's exciting and interesting to use Windows 11. But again, it comes to that whole thing, is that what you're doing? Like, Active Directory, right? If Active Directory is important to you, by God, use Windows. Active Directory is amazeballs. If you do not understand how amazing Active Directory is, go figure it out. It's wonderful. But again, if you're in an environment that doesn't use Active Directory, well, then who the hell cares? So I think that's where we get to with Windows 11. Windows 11 is going to come out, and it's going to kind of suck. Not because there's any necessary problem with Windows 11. It's just going to be another crappy Windows operating system with a few new connections to modern services and a little bit of tweaking under the hood. And I would argue that's about it. So that's my thought. I know. Let the snark come in. Let the snark. The Apple sheep. The Apple sheep, to be clear, with an MCSE. Give me the hate. Give me the hate. I don't know. What do you think about Windows 11? Are you excited about it? Do you care about it? Are you fascinated when people talk about the colors of their new M1 iMacs? I don't know. It's just sad. It's just sad. I'm like, what about Vision services? Have you seen the Vision services? Vision is awesome. Cognitive services is amazing. No, because that's not real tech. That's not real tech. Anywho, before I get too snarky, before I become unfamily friendly, because remember, it's conversation culture, not cancel culture. Anywho, so those are my thoughts. Put your thoughts about Windows 11 down below, whether or not you care. Are you excited about Active Directory? Have you been playing with Azure Functions? If you haven't, and you actually want to be a tech professional, start playing with them. They're awesome. Anyways, if you like what I'm doing here at Silicon Dojo and you would like to support our move to an actual facility where it doesn't feel like a sweat box, think about throwing some money down into donorbox.org/ETCG. Every dollar that you can send over is highly appreciated. Again, I am actually doing these classes. I'm doing a lot of stuff here, so I'd like to keep doing it. Business needs money. Capitalism needs money. If you want to ask a question, something other than Windows 11, put your questions down in the comment section. Basically every day I grab a question down there and then I try to answer it in a family-friendly way with the personality of somebody that's been doing tech since 1996. Anyways, if you want a one-on-one meeting with me, so I do actually do one-on-one meetings. I've done lots of consulting meetings with people, talking about their careers, talking about education, talking about starting businesses, the whole 9 yards. If you go to silicondojo.com, on the right-hand side, there's a link for one-on-one conversations. Click on that. I do meetups here. So again, last night we did an hour and a half class on computer vision. Actually showed how to use Azure functions and actually showed the code and that kind of stuff. So if you're in the Asheville area, of course this happens. If you're in the Asheville area and you would like to come to one of these meetups, one of these classes, go to silicondojo.com, right-hand side, sign up on the meetup, and come on down. And I think that's about it. So with that, I'm gonna do the happy dance. Oh, we're gonna get a new place. We're gonna get a new place. And I'll see y'all later.